Hi guys, Craig here and welcome back to the Renogy series. What I'm going to be looking at today in particular is their battery monitor. Okay, so it's a battery monitor with a small display and a shunt. For those interested, that's the part number right there. Okay, it comes in this box and that's the small monitor there. So what I've done is I've just made up a little board here, nice and simple, and I've connected the P negative to the load side of the system and then the B negative directly to the battery. Okay, I've also added in a bus bar here for the negative side and a bus bar for the positive side, as well as a mega fuse here to protect the system. Okay, so basically what this battery monitor is, it's a fuel gauge for your battery. Okay, so it measures current in and current out to give you your state of charge. Quite simple. Okay, so it comes with a nice lead here. I think that's 6 meters long, and then there's a little positive cable here which I've connected to the bus bar over here, which provides power to the shunt. All straightforward. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to charge up a battery. Okay, and when that battery's charged, you'll see that we're getting 22.9 amps on the shunt going in, and the battery voltage is 13.7, and the current on the BMS, so I've connected a smart battery to this which has Bluetooth in it, and there you go, 22.88 amps on the BMS compared to 22.9. So in my mind that's pretty bloody good. Okay, so we'll charge this up, and then what will happen is this shunt will sync to 100% when the battery's fully charged. The other thing you'll notice is that there's a pulsating flash of the screen, so it goes bright, dull, bright, dull. So what it does is when this battery monitor sees charge coming in, and I've got a 30 amp battery charger connected to the system at the moment, it pulsates like that, so you know you've got current coming into the system. Okay, so if I disconnected the battery charger, then that pulsating would stop and then the screen would grey out. So fairly straightforward. The Renogy 2000 watt inverter here, I'm not going to be focusing on that today. I'm purely focusing on the shunt and how that performs. The other thing you've probably already noticed is there's an issue with the screen on the shunt. You'll see it's missing pixels. Okay, so regardless of how this battery monitor performs overall, it's an instant fail. It really is. To me, that is simply not acceptable. But anyway, we're going to carry on. We're going to use this throughout the whole series of the Renogy items. So, as I said, I'll be adding some MPPT charge control, solar charge controllers. I'll be adding a 50 amp DC to DC. I'll be testing the inverter and see how that works. And we'll create our own little Renogy ecosystem here, and we'll see how this gear performs. So just while the battery's charging up, I just sort of try and get to the bottom of this pixelation error. So what I've done is, I've done this a couple of times and it makes no difference, but I'll just show you. So I've unplugged the monitor. So I've taken the power away from it, and then I plug it back in, and as you can clearly see there, the pixelation problem is still there. I thought going through the screens may help as well, so just pressing that down, there we go. So you just hold that down for a couple of seconds, hold the OK button down for a couple of seconds, and then that gets you into your settings. But you can see there, still a problem with the screen. So you can set your parameters in this area, so you can set your capacity, which I've got at 100 amp hours, your full voltage, and your 0 voltage, and your power off voltage. So you can just toggle through the up and down arrows there and set those parameters based on your requirements. So just go back out of that, press it twice, and then you're back out to the main screen. Now, what I'll do is after this is charged up, I'm going to do a capacity test on the battery. And I know I've tested this battery before, so it's around that 100 amp hours. I think it was 102. So what I'll do is I'm going to measure what the Renogy Battery Monitor is telling me over the BMS data coming out of the Bluetooth directly from the battery. So, and I think that's going to be close enough for what we're trying to achieve here. I could test this against another shunt, but I don't really think there's any reason to. I think if it gets a number within a couple of amp hours from this one to this one, I'm going to be happy enough with that and call that a success or a fail. We're yet to see. So in the manual towards the back of the tech specs, and you can see the working voltage, 10 to 120 volts, current consumption while in use, accuracy, etc. So this shunt is accurate to plus or minus 1%, and it's good for up to temperature range of up to 60 degrees down to minus 10. If this is your first time setting up a shunt and you haven't done this before, there's a diagram inside there. I could probably find it if I don't waste your time too much here. Bear with me. Yeah, there it is there. So there's a little diagram there showing you how to set this up. So that'll help you through, and it's really not that difficult, guys. So the idea of the 6 meter cable is to enable you to remote mount the monitor in a place of your choosing. You could put this in the cab of your ute or inside your caravan, and then have your system and shunt up to 6 meters away. I was just going through this manual while I'm waiting for the battery to charge up, and I've discovered a great little feature. So you can turn the LED backlight on and off and change the brightness. Oh, there we go. The battery voltage has just hit 14.1, so it's synced to 100%. That was funny to catch that. But anyway, back to what I was saying. So you can turn this backlight off simply by pressing down that top one. There we go. So that's now off. I think that's a great feature because that was getting annoying. It was, that pulsating in and out was just getting annoying in the background. So turn it back on. And you can see that the brightness level I've got it set at is 7. So you can turn that up and down. The other interesting feature you'll notice is the blacked out area around the battery acts like a gauge as well. So as that battery was charging up, this was going up, and I'm assuming as it comes back down, this will go back down. Now, we're still taking a lot of current here, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. We're taking 17 amps, but it has cut down, and you'll see that continue to drop. Now, if we just measure that against here, you'll see we're at 95% state of charge, and we're at 14.04 volts. Now, this battery technically will be fully charged at 14.2 volts. But the battery monitor's detected 14.1 volt, which is what I've set it to resync to 100%, and that just worked perfectly. So the battery's now not taking any more current, fully charged, 100% here, 14.12 volts, and you can see the backlight has now gone off because the battery's not taking any more current, so that pulsating is gone. You can just press there and then turn the backlight back on, but it will go back off in a couple of seconds because there's nothing happening to the battery. So what I'll do is I'll put a constant load now through the Renogy inverter, and we'll keep an eye on these two devices, and we'll see how accurate this shunt is. So I've got a nice load now on the inverter. Let that settle in, and as you can see, we're down to 86%. So we're showing 86% on the monitor, and we're showing 86% on the BMS. Interesting, time to go is rounded to 1 hour here and 1 hour 2 minutes here. Current near enough the same, 82.8, 82.3, and the only difference is the wattage output. We're going 1072 compared to 1 kilowatt or 1000 watts even. I'd say that's a a rounding thing with not enough digits on this display. But look, overall so far, I'm happy. Coming to near completion at the end of this test, and as you can see, state of charge 9% on the BMS, state of charge 9% on the monitor. We've got a little bit of deviation in voltage there, but that's voltage under load, so I'd expect that to drop. On the shunt, 9 amp hours remaining, which equals 9%. It's just switched over to 8% here. 88 amps, 87 amps, and then we've still got that deviation in the watts, and they're both showing 6 minutes to go, so all good there. As I expected, that gauge has come down, so that black area has now gone down to near nothing, which you would expect it to be because of the depletion of the battery is just about done. I'll come back right at the end of this and we'll see how close these are together, but so far I'd say they're going to be pretty much on the money. Just about there now, and the reason I say that is I've set a fairly conservative voltage on the BMS settings, so that's going to cut out before the battery gets to 0. I'm just trying to conserve the battery a little bit there, but so far they're reading identical, near enough. So I might just stay with it so you guys can see right to the end. But look, so far the workings of the shunt, although we've just got an alarm there, oh okay, and it's cut out. Yep, there we go. So that's me putting in my parameter settings for a safe cutout. So all good on that respect. What I might do is actually reach out to Renogy and show them the pixelation issue and how it's got the loss of pixels. I mean, this is a brand new unit, and I'll follow up and see what their warranty is like here in Australia. It could be a good test also, because it's not just how well products perform, it's also, if they fail, how good the after sales service is, and will they honour warranty. I'll come back to you on that one. Well, I guess that's pretty much a wrap for the Renogy Battery Monitor. Now, the shunt works perfectly. I've got no issues with the shunt. It passed all of my tests. Accuracy seems pretty good. Unfortunately, due to the issue with the pixelation, I'm going to have to give this a thumbs down, and it's a failure on the Renogy Battery Monitor. Unfortunately, guys, that to me is not acceptable. The inverter, on the other hand, 1000 watt load, depleted 100 amp hour battery, no problem at all. So far that's going well. If you'd like to see something special on Renogy products, or any tests that you'd like to see while I'm working with this over the next couple of months, let me know in the comments below. Until then, like and subscribe, and stay safe.